Hey, what's up, y'all? I doubt anyone's gonna jump in here, but I just I've been finding it easier to go live and then edit and put this up later. But I've been trolling the comments sections of some of these pulled out clips of my debate. And for the record, I really don't think I performed very well in that debate with JF, but I had a good time, and that was really as I was prepping for everything. That was really I was on the fence between having a good time and having a debate, but still something more like casual conversation versus point by point trying to fight and argue. Because I don't really think most people take the idea of the Earth being flat very seriously at all. Those of us that are out here that did take the idea seriously have a lot of conundrum esque questions that it seems like when other people look at them, they don't even see it as a question. So that's why I tell people I think it's like a magic spell. Sorry, I just drank some kratom. I won't lie. You guys drink kratom? Um. Anyways, I wanted to address one thing because I saw one thing pulled out on some. Well, it looked like some kind of a white pride site plucking clips of me and JF talking out, and I appreciate that honestly because that pushes me out there farther. That's cool. But in the comments, I see people saying, oh, that I'm blaming the Templars and not the Jews or whatever, and I think it's a lot deeper than that. I think it's a really dangerous thing to encourage everyone to just randomly hate Jews. I do, but I also think that the Jews are in a tremendous position of power and influence, and so it becomes a conundrum. I mean, I think it's funny that people would. I consider that kind of like a straw man version of me to say, oh well, Sean minimizes the part of that the Jews play in international politics and power struggles, and he instead blames the Templars. That's not what I said. And I'll be honest too. I haven't gone back and listened to the entire interview with great care because I'm just not ready to yet. It's a long ass thing. I'm eventually going to throw it on and check it out. It's probably super cringy. It's probably like probably I said a bunch of stuff that I would contradict myself now and disagree with or want to amend. But I know for sure on that level, what I remember when me and Jeff were talking, what I said was that the uh, the big money lending families back in the day were the big money lending powerhouses were the Medicis and the Templars, and I do believe that the Jews ended up in a willing scapegoat position with those people, but that doesn't minimize their power. It actually puts them in a stronger position of power because they're the ones handling the money. So if you really want to take a closer look at it, I would suggest you look up Branko Malik from Kali Tribune and his work with his name's Augustin Braul. I'd have to let me look it up real quick here. Hold on, just a second. Barul, it's Barul. That's what it is. August Barul. Barruel. Okay, so Augustin Barul wrote the very, very first conspiracy theory book. And as far as we can tell prior to that, there's not really conspiracy theories as we think of them today, where you're accusing a group or groups as wanting to take over, to have something like global control or, full control of the entire world. Um, and yes, I understand the pun there, globalist. There's, believe me, that's a big thing in the flat Earth community, if you want to call it that. I don't think it's a community. It's just a bunch of people that are looking at evidence. They're not satisfied with the answers that they're getting from positions of authority. They don't have any way to go and double check, retest this authority, so that they have their doubts. I'm one of those people. So um, Augustin Barul wrote a book about the Jacobin conspiracy, and he calls these people philosophists as a play on word between philosopher and sophist. And if you don't know what those words mean, go look them up. Um, so essentially, they're bragging that they had their underground movement that was the Enlightenment. So the Enlightenment is essentially the roots of all the conspiracy, all of the Illuminati shit, all of that can be traced directly back to the French Enlightenment, mostly, not really to the German Enlightenment, which was different. It was more Romanticism, and that Barul, in the process of writing his book, when he got to the end of it, somebody sent him a letter that it was hotly contested, and he even kind of kept it a secret, that was pointing out that he had overlooked or failed to include the Jews in his conspiracy. And so he was really wary of it. He was probably against the anti-Semites. So in a way, I see it as from the beginning them creating a scapegoat, but not in a simple way, in a complicated way, you know. So if you go, I could maybe I'll find the link to that episode of Branko Malic's Kali Tribune. I highly recommend Branko Malic for people that it's a more academic approach to conspiracy shit, because I think most of the conspiracy stuff you see is just a distraction to keep people scared or confused. For a lot of people, it's just entertainment. But behind all of that, there's serious issues that you should take a look at. I think communitarianism is probably the main one. The man who's promoting and pushing communitarianism the hardest is a man named Amitai Etzioni, who was an Irgun soldier in Israel. He was essentially a terrorist before Israel was a state. He writes for HuffPost sometimes. He has the communitarian. It's like a program for communitarian studies. I think it's at George Washington University. Off the top of my head, I could be wrong, but I think it's at George Washington University. He's a regular pundit in the press, and he's huge behind the scenes in academia. Okay, well, this guy is essentially trying to make the whole world into an Israeli-style kibbutz. Okay, so you can't say that I'm undermining the position of thinking that Jews have power and influence, when the main guy that I would say people don't know who he is, what his name is. Even the people that do study the Jewish conspiracy, they want to point their finger at all of the CNN folks. They want to point their finger at all of the main media folks and put blue stars of David on their photographs and all their memes on the internet. Okay, so if you're going to throw and level an accusation, criticism at me that I don't know enough about your alleged Jewish conspiracy, then tell me, who's Amitai Etzioni? What's his real name? What's his influence in the world? What's he doing? Why is he trying to combine? See, I think they hijacked Hegel. They took Hegel was an idealistic philosophy, and I tried to read Hegel, and I hate Hegel. Hegel's an idiot, in my opinion. So it's not worth your time to apply yourself to it. You know, you can read the commentaries on both sides and get an idea of what Hegel was without trying to endure his nonsense, in my opinion. And I know I'm not alone in this opinion, because in trying to read Hegel, what I found more than people expounding on Hegel was people saying that it was non sequitur nonsense. And of course, all the people that love and worship Hegel or appreciate Hegel want to say, well, you're just not smart enough to understand what Hegel was saying. Well, that's fine. I'll remain ignorant and not understand what I consider this fool Hegel to be, trying to purport. But I don't think the Hegelian dialectic is so simple as that they just took what Hegel was saying and tried to apply it. I think they did what they always do. They take an idea and they malform it, they readapt it, they twist it to a new purpose, and then they apply it. So I don't think Hegel was kidding in saying that he thought the dialectical process would eventually create the state as a perfect form of God or something like that, that eventually you would get no more antithesis to your thesis, and that eventually that would become a final thesis, and that would allow for transcendence into something greater than what we have now. I think that's what Hegel was believing and trying to purport in his dialecticism. Okay, I understand the difference between that and Jewish dialecticism. What we call what do you guys always say? Pill pull argumentation is sophistry. It's just lawyerly type sophistry, and yes, it is what the Jews have the greatest reputation for. That's why they have the reputation they do. Because, that guy David that was on Bloodsports, everyone was cringing and falling all over themselves at how much he represented the Shlomo meme, And I don't find that to be consistent with every Jewish person I've ever met, but they're definitely out there. Guys that it's just like, you're just the cliche of exactly why a stereotype exists, So I think what they did is they took the ideal of Hegel's dialectical philosophy and they reduced it down to something utilitarian. Okay, the concept I usually give people is it's like the mob coming around and offering you insurance on your house. and you say, no, I'm all good, and they're saying, well, hey, a lot of houses are burning down in the neighborhood, so maybe you should go ahead and get some insurance from us. It's only $300 a week. And you say, no, I'm all good. I don't need insurance on my house, and I know some houses are burned down. I'm not worried about it. Well, so then the house 2 doors down from you burns down, and the mob comes back and they say, hey, man, fires are still on the rise, and price went up. It's at 600 now. Maybe you want to buy insurance. And then you're scratching your head like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I should get some insurance. So to me, that's a reasonable example of a really basic problem, reaction, solution scenario. This is what they do to manifest their goal and to manufacture us towards communitarian governance, And if you're going to take anything away from SB Alger landing on the blood sports, talking about flat Earth, if you're not interested to look at the fact that there's no measurable curvature, fine, it doesn't matter. Lots of people are going to stay on the globe. That's their choice. But beyond that, I would take a close look at NIKI RAAPANA's work with the Anti-Communitarian League and go find and read her book and kick her some money if you do find it. I don't know if she's got any paper copies available, but you can find the book for free online. It's better to go buy it from her. Or even just go read her blog, go look up interviews with NIKI RAAPANA and her daughter, NORDICA FRIEDRICH. Okay, these women were involved in a situation in Seattle, Washington, where they were renting kind of in a slumlord situation, low income housing, and their neighbors that they knew personally had the doors kicked in and were held at gunpoint by a SWAT team that served them a warrant that said, oh, we think you guys are harboring bugs and insects and rodents in here, and so we're here to inspect. Well, Nikki saw that as a huge red flag against the typical, what we would call our constitutional rights or our American, legal system. She didn't like it. She started digging, and what she found was Amitai Etzioni, communitarianism, and an entire substructure and system of international law that is tied to Agenda 21. It's tied to all the environmental law. It's tied to all the international law. And they don't really talk about it here in the United States very much. If you look around, especially if you're a foreign language speaker, if you want to search and look for it, you'll find a lot of information about communitarianism. And so I'd say this is closer to finding your real enemy, is to find out what communitarian really means. Okay, so the most basic concept I could give you of what communitarian means is they say it's a balancing of individual rights versus the rights of the community. So all of the nationalists out there I see it a lot pushed that, so what do they say? The collective is greater than the individual, and so we have to rely on a collectivist mindset to win. Well, I understand that, okay? I'm not 100% behind it, but I definitely understand that a collective community is going to be stronger than the individual, and it's always, if we can have an in-group, out-group setup of norms and things that we consider are good versus not good, obviously we're going to be stronger that way. But if you look at communitarianism and look at all that through that lens, it looks like you're all being led down the primrose path to something you don't understand because you've never been presented it. So, maybe the far out bullshit of the flat earth is too much for you. Fine. You want to mock me for making a poor showing or just for having completely insane ideas. That's okay. But at least if you're here listening and checking this out, take the next step and do a hard search into communitarianism, reference it to the work of NIKI RAAPANA because she's the groundbreaking individual who really did something about it. As far as trying to bring it out here, and realize that, in my opinion, you're heading into that system whether you like it or not. It's not a point where we can fight back, say, hey, we're going to stop this. NIKI RAAPANA and her daughter wrote and worked and published for years, for more than a decade, trying to just get people to at least turn their lights on and understand the idea. It's already here. If you go reference it all and look, that's why you're seeing I would say this is what's behind the strange censorship that's going on in all of the social media platforms and the alleged inconsistency and or I don't know that it's really weird, you know. They're knocking down all these sites, a lot of them right-leaning sites, a lot of them conspiracy sites, and then you're seeing people say, wait, hey, my makeup site got caught up, you know, my makeup review site or my video game site or my cooking site, all these YouTube channels all got caught up in the fray too. I see all of that as a padded soft sell on the community policing itself. Okay, so they're gonna hit you with some strikes. They're gonna, like they just did to. I just saw a video from Failure this morning that apparently the Kumite got another strike, and now they're gonna have to do it on Failure's channel. Okay, so they're conditioning everyone to police themselves through this strange and what seems like sporadic censorship, but it's not. You know, we can't see the plain evidence of what they're doing. Like, okay, well, we don't have the real reason for the why they're taking the approach they are. But if you study communitarianism first and really get an idea of what it means, how it fits in with international law, Agenda 21, environmentalism, and the philosophy behind these people, which I would say is like it's like an abortion of what Hegel was trying to do, you know, and it's like they want to always pluck what they think of as the best or us plebs would think of as the worst from every system. So they want, in my opinion, what's the worst part of capitalism, the worst part of communism, and they want to shove it together into a new thing. You know, I don't know. Now I'm probably just digressing too far. I should probably stay out of the comments sections, but I won't because that's why I did this. I figured I might as well, if Andy and JF want to give me the opportunity to enter the stage here, then I was glad to kick them some money and do that. And I still think all you white nationalist boys out there, you know, I was raised white as fuck. I'm a white boy, but I think you're being misled and you don't see it. I think you're being led down the primrose path to communitarianism because they've got you convinced that if you see communitarianism, whether it's named or labeled that or it's labeled something else, like all this social justice warrior left-leaning stuff, they've got you convinced that you're not participating when you are. So if they've set you up as an opposite side of the dialectic and you don't realize it, then how powerful are they? How much power have you accidentally given over to them? I guess you got to ask yourself that question. I don't know. Anyways, that's almost 20 minutes. I'm gonna go get myself to work. Have a good day, y'all. So, by the way, tomorrow I'm gonna stick this. I'm gonna have to jump on my PC and edit the description. I'll drop some stuff in the description here. Going to be on American Gadfly was kind and invited me to come talk on his channel. So going to do that tomorrow night. We're going to probably put up a channel called RX Only Picture Show. That's our little kind of 2-piece, 3-piece band that we're going to start throwing our rehearsal up live every Wednesday just because it seems like fun. And we'll do more than just music. We might do music, might do art, might talk politics. Who knows? It's just going to be a weekly show, RX Only Picture Show. So come kick it if you like it. Come be critical of me, and I'll maybe you'll encourage me to or inspire me to make another one of these kind of half-ass response videos. I didn't even see the name of the channel, but whoever's pulling clips of me out over and sticking up, appreciate it, because you got me thinking, got me talking to you on the microphone. So have a good day, y'all. Okay, bye.